Something extraordinary is taking place, and it has the potential to permanently alter North America's destiny. Canada, the seemingly calm neighbor to the north, has just made a stunning announcement. They might turn off the electricity in the United States. Yes, you heard that correctly. With the United States experiencing an increasing number of domestic and foreign problems, a single move from Canada may send shockwaves across the country's entire electrical infrastructure. This is more than simply a trade battle. It's a high-stakes game with real-world implications. What does this mean for the United States and the world? Stay with us because this is a story of political maneuvering, economic power, and maybe the worst catastrophe the U.S. energy sector has ever faced. You'll want to remain to the conclusion, since the consequences of this choice will extend well beyond North America. Most people are unaware of Canada's participation in the U.S. energy infrastructure, despite its importance. What if I told you that this northern neighbor generates about a quarter of America's power? That's correct. 1/4 of the power consumed by millions of Americans originates directly from Canada. However, this association goes deeper than just numbers on a map. For the past century, the United States and Canada have been trapped in an energy bond, or mutual reliance. Without Canada's electricity, most of the United States would be in the dark. Industries would come to a standstill, factories would close, and essential services like heating and cooling would be disrupted. A catastrophe of this size might devastate the already shaky U.S. economy. So what led us here? Why has Canada suddenly decided that turning off the electricity is an acceptable option? The solution rests in intensifying trade battles that have reached a critical stage. For months, the United States has been placing taxes on Canadian exports, ranging from steel to natural resources. However, things are rising even further, with threats of taxes, economic sanctions, and trade barriers endangering Canada's economic future. Canada naturally is not taking a passive role. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's administration has been compelled to act, and it appears that electricity may be the weapon they have been keeping back for years. This is more than simply trade. It is also about power. Literal power. Yes, Canada can, and they aren't scared to use it. The sheer size of Canada's hydroelectric infrastructure provides it unparalleled influence. This isn't an idle threat. Canada has huge hydroelectric resources that are critical to the U.S. system, particularly in the Northeast. The United States relies on Canadian electricity, and if Canada decides to halt these exports, entire regions may be forced to seek alternative energy sources. A trade war, no matter how fierce, always has a definite outcome. Negotiate, strike an agreement, and move on. But Canada's most recent decision takes the idea of leverage to a whole new level. Electricity isn't simply a negotiating chip, it's a possible economic weapon. When trade discussions become hot, the world's attention shifts to the United States and China, as well as the US and Mexico. However, all eyes are now on the United States and Canada, and the clock is ticking. As tariffs rise, Canada is sending a strong signal. If the United States believes it can muscle its way through these trade battles, it may be playing with fire. The stakes have never been higher when it comes to energy supply. Let's make one thing obvious. Hydropower is Canada's most valuable asset. The United States cannot just replace this resource on a whim. Hydroelectric power is not just extremely efficient, it is also renewable, clean, and firmly integrated into North America's energy grid. If Canada turns off this electricity, the United States will confront an energy black hole, with consequences well beyond the system. Factories would freeze, cities would go dark, and mayhem would break out. This action is unprecedented in scope, and Canada is well aware of this. If Canada pulls the plug, it's not as simple as flicking a switch. The economic implications are enormous. The U.S. economy relies on Canadian electricity to fuel important industries such as technology and manufacturing. Consider the millions of jobs that these sectors support. Now imagine them coming to a standstill. As power costs rise and supply networks are disrupted, American consumers may face increased electricity bills, while companies may be forced to close. This might cause the United States to experience a historic energy crisis. Is Washington ready for this? The shockwaves will reverberate beyond the United States. A confrontation between the United States and Canada over oil will have far-reaching implications. The global energy market is interdependent, and any disruption in energy supply from a key participant, such as Canada, has the potential to drive up worldwide energy costs. If the United States is compelled to seek alternate suppliers, it may cause a worldwide energy deficit, affecting everything from oil prices to natural gas contracts. This is a global game of high-stakes chess, and Canada's action is nothing short of a check on the U.S. economy. For years, the United States and Canada were allies, but Canada is now changing their relationship. Historically, the two countries have clashed over trade concerns, but they have always found a way to collaborate. Now, the dynamics are altering, and the once steady energy cooperation is being reconsidered. Canada is no longer a silent neighbor. It is establishing itself as a more autonomous and forceful actor on the global scene. And the United States? It is reeling from the abrupt awareness that it no longer has control. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is not taking the decision lightly. This is a well-planned action to protect Canada's economic sovereignty while pressing the United States to take Canada seriously. Trudeau's use of energy as leverage ensures that Canada's voice is heard on a global scale and the message is clear: respect us or face the consequences. But the issue remains: will it work? If Canada follows through and shuts off power, the ramifications for the United States will be severe. Despite its best efforts, the United States is unprepared for such a shock. The country remains largely dependent on Canadian energy imports, and there are no simple solutions. Sure, the United States is developing alternate energy sources, but this will take years, if not decades. Canada's electricity is not something the United States can easily replace. The economy would struggle, electricity rates would rise, and companies would suffer. This is about more than just solving a problem today. There will be years of work ahead. The longer this continues, the more harm it may wreak, and the United States will be playing catch-up. What Canada has done is not only a North American matter. The entire world is watching as energy is exploited as leverage in political talks. We've seen other countries exploit oil and gas, but Canada is altering the game. It is demonstrating to the world that energy is more than simply a commodity. It is a strong instrument in global politics. The way governments utilize energy to strike agreements, preserve their interests, or punish others may change dramatically in the future. Canada's decision to hold the United States hostage with its electricity supply may lead to other countries recognizing that they, too, may use energy as leverage. If the United States permits this, energy diplomacy will never be the same again. So, what will happen next? Will the United States back down? Or will Canada's threat provoke even more conflict? It's difficult to predict for sure how things will turn out. But one thing is certain. This is a watershed moment in US-Canada ties. If the two countries cannot reach a deal, the situation might swiftly evolve into something far greater. A full-fledged trade war affecting not only power, but also tariffs and supply chains. It's not just about who blinks first. It's about the long-term consequences of this power play. The future is uncertain, and both parties understand that the next action will have long-term ramifications. The energy stalemate between Canada and the United States is more than a one-time issue. It has the potential to impact the whole future of North American energy. If the United States is forced to deal with rising energy prices, fewer resources, and more tensions with Canada, the regional power balance may alter. Canada will no longer be considered a reliable partner. It has the potential to become a more powerful and independent player in the global energy market. If the United States loses control of its energy supply, it may be forced to rely on other countries. Canada, previously a silent ally, has the potential to become a self-sufficient economic superpower. North America's power dynamics may never be the same. At this moment, it is evident. The energy crisis in the United States has only just started. Canada's attempt to threaten the power supply might plunge the United States into a crisis that affects more than simply energy costs and could have far-reaching consequences for all aspects of American society. The stakes are tremendous. The United States cannot afford to ignore what is happening. What about the rest of the world? They will be paying close attention. If Canada can use its energy supply as a bargaining tool, who will be next? The global balance of power might alter in unexpected ways. The effects of this stalemate will be felt for years to come. So what do you think? Will Canada truly follow through on this? Will the United States find a way to prevent the coming disaster? One thing is for sure. This crisis is far from over, and the ramifications will be felt throughout North America and the world. The energy game is evolving, and what happens next might alter the entire balance of power. But we're only getting started. So if you want to be ahead of the curve and up to date on the newest developments, be sure to subscribe. Don't miss out on the future of energy, trade battles, and global politics as it unfolds in real time. Thank you for viewing, and see you in the next one.